Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be making a Linerlock fillet knife. That's right, a folding fillet knife. So let's take a look at what we got. Okay, so this is the pattern that I'm going to be making. I've made it a couple times, and I talked about this in my previous video. I've got about 13 different knives right now I'm making. I'm going to single this one out and focus on it for now. So it'll be a Linerlock. It'll have about 65 thousandths liners in it. That'll be titanium. And I've already heat treated the blade in the previous video, which is here. This will not have a stop pin track in it like I got here, but it will be a stop pin right here behind the tang of the blade. So, you know, with a lot of this work done, I can go ahead now and ream the hole since I've heat treated, because I drill it undersized and ream after heat treating. That way I get a good precision clean hole there. And of course I already drilled my thumb stud, and we'll clean that up as well. So we'll get this one ready, then we will focus on the frame. All right, now that I got the pivot hole taken care of on the blade, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the liners. I've got my pattern glued on here. I will cut one and glue the other one to it and start profiling, drilling holes. All right, I got both liners roughly cut and they are super glued together. I'm going to drill my pivots and my frame screws or liner screws all at one time. The risk is having the super glue break apart, but I feel like taking a risk today. When I do it, I always get perfect results, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. Then I'm going to go profile the frames if they haven't broken loose, or the liners I should say, keep calling frames, and then we will start working on the backspacer. But I want to do this, get that pivot done where I can find out exactly where my stop pin is going to go and drill it at the same time as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to surface grind the blade and get it good and flat. I've already used a carbide hammer to take out any warp that, I had in the blade, but I want to make sure it's completely flat, and we're going to get it surface ground. Take about 15 or 20 off of it and go from there. All right, so I got the blade up to the final finish and final thickness. It'll be a little more finished work. I shouldn't say final, but to the final thickness. That way I can figure out my backspacer, the thickness I need. So I've got a rough cut out of the backspacer. I'm going to glue it down here and on the frame, and then drill through the frame and through the backspacer with a thread size drill, which I think is a 5/64. Then I will come in here and I will drill through the frames again, one side, with an oversize to allow the 256 screw to pass through, as well as the backspacer, and I will tap the other frame or the other liner. But the first thing I'm going to do is get this glued on, and I can set the blade stop and all that as well. Okay, now with everything working good on the blade, I've got the pivot pin and the stop pin cut to length. And if you want to see details on all this stuff, I've got previous videos. I can leave a link in the description to the playlist where you see how I cut the pivot and stop pin lengths and all that stuff. But now I'm going to go ahead and cut the lock bar and release it and drill the detent, install it, and we'll grind the lock face on the blade and get her locking up. So what I've done, I've just got it set here in the vise. I drilled 2 holes, starts and stops, for the lock bar, and I could have put a couple parallels here and a couple pins, set it on those parallels, tighten it up, remove the pins and parallels, and we've got a straight setup there. And like I said, there's details in those previous videos you'll find in the playlist. But I've just got an abrasive cutoff wheel here in a 1/4 arbor, and we're going to cut this lock bar. Okay, got everything together and we're locking up good. And I'm gonna hold off right here to do the fine tuning, because once you put the handles on, it'll stiffen up this lock bar a little bit, and I'll have to relieve it, of course, but it's pretty much done except for grind the blade as far as the liners go. Now what I'm going to do is work on the handle material. And I've got some layout lines here. I'm going to be doing my half moon bolster handle style fit up here. And I've got to go get these cut out and matched and then I'll glue them down to a piece of thin G10 to make it one handle, one solid handle. And then we will get them to the thickness we want and start installing them. If this looks sketchy, it's because it is. Now I do this on big blocks of wood in my carter because I'll have more surface material to clamp with and to hold it in place because this stuff is not magnetic. Now you can use double-sided carpet tape and that'll hold it and you can block it up and that'll really help, but I don't have any carpet tape left. This works, I've done it before, but it is sketchy looking. So we're going to give it a shot. I got to bring these scales down to about 3/16. They're pretty thick right now, a little over a quarter, and wish me luck. Well, my surface grinder broke down. I was about to make another pass and went to start up, won't start. I'm pretty sure it's a capacitor on the motor, but I don't have another one. I'll have to order it. So I'm gonna have to finish these the old-fashioned way. Now you can also use a surface grinder that you mount to a 2x72 to do this, but again, it would be even sketchier because you don't have the room to really clamp stuff all the way around it. But now I've got to drop back and just go to the disc sander and flatten these down some more. Now I could do this after I mount them to the scales and just bring them down to where I need them. Another day in the shop. Well, I took them over to the disc sander, took them down to just about where I need them to be. There'll be a little more, but now it's time to mount them to the liners and drill our screw holes. Then I will profile it and do the relief work for the lock bar, and quite a bit of work left to do. But I got to have that capacitor too for another set of blades I'm working on. So just makes work much more accurate, faster with that surface grinder. But I also am using temporary bronze washers in these liners that are a little small. I need about a 1/2 inch washer, and I'm using something that's about 3/8. Now, the bigger you go, the more resistance you have, but you also have more support, and I'm not putting bearings in these. It's going to be silicon bronze washers. But we're going to have to take up with all of this on the next video because we're out of time and I got to get a video out. I want to thank you for watching. I thank my patrons. We're going to see you on the next one.